Last night, we showed you Patty Daly's treasures of never-before-seen Beatle memorabilia. Patty and her Polaroid camera spent considerable time with John, Paul, George, and Ringo gathering photos and mementos of the Fab Four post the breakup and other rock and roll legends from the 60s and the 70s. Well, tonight, we have more, including John Lennon's infamous Lost Weekend. The images are incredible. Candid, personal photographs of rock royalty. John Lennon, George Harrison, Ringo Starr, and Paul McCartney. The Beatles, post-breakup in the early 1970s. Okay, now here's a nice color photo. Tell me about... Patty Daly's personal photo albums are documented proof of what Beatle fans have only read about in books and magazines. The biggest rock stars in the world were still working and playing, and even at times they were living with each other here in Southern California.
Very good friends. All of them kept in touch.
Daly's boyfriend at the time was this man, Jesse Ed Davis, the go-to guitarist for all the Beatles on their solo albums. In 1974, Patty and Jesse spent most of their days with John Lennon during his now infamous Lost Weekend. And her Polaroid camera was always in her purse, ready to capture the rock icons who drifted in and out of Lennon's inner circle.
This one is the original Pussycats.
Lennon was singer-songwriter Harry Nilsson, taken during the recording of his Pussycats album. Also captured during those now legendary alcohol-fueled recording sessions, several shots of Ringo Starr, plus several candid shots of John Lennon's then-girlfriend, May Pang, his constant companion during his separation from his wife, Yoko. Tell me about, what do you remember about the so-called, what they coined it as, the Lost Weekend?
I think John had left and he just wanted to get away and do something different. I know he missed Yoko. I know they kept in contact, but I think he was just letting it out, you know, being with the boys.
And the gathering place for the boys was often Lennon's rented beach house in Santa Monica.
The house was wonderful. I remember sitting by the pool a lot, and my son Bill playing backgammon and
with
Ringo.
Right. Also captured shooting pool Eric Clapton with his then-girlfriend Patty Harrison, who by that time had left George Harrison. Daly also photographed a young Mickey Dolenz goofing around on the beach with his camera. And the only picture of legendary The Who drummer Keith Moon lying on the living room floor.
Keith was one of a kind. I always called him Moon the Loon.
And two photos of Paul McCartney in Santa Monica, playing Lennon's baby grand piano.
I had gone into the house to use the bathroom, and when I walked through, he was playing, and it was just so full and so beautiful. I think at the beach house, that was the first time Paul and John had seen each other since way back.
In regards to the Lost Weekend, did you have a favorite item?
My favorite picture is the one of John and George at the Troubadour, just because it just shows who they are. John with his rock and roll drunk, his rock and roll button, and George just being his beautiful spiritual self. Just that's his mate, you know, and just being patient and loving him.
Our producer, Tara Wallace, did an incredible job, hours and hours, getting all that material, putting it together, making sense of it all, because it's just in boxes and boxes of material. So Tara did a wonderful job. And tomorrow night, another super group, the Rolling Stones, and Patty Daly's rock and roll collection gets even more incredible. That's tomorrow night here at 11 o'clock.
Okay, that's really hard to believe that it gets better. But why now, after keeping it in boxes under the bed for decades? Why now? Why is she coming forward?
Well, she has a health concern, and that's why now.
So she's looking...
But I can't say, there's...
Okay. The most impressive thing you saw?
The most impressive thing, well, there's two things. The letter to Capitol Records, where John Lennon just chews them out over the first Beatle compilation album. They had designed a cover that he simply hated, and it's a wonderful letter. And then, well, I would say that's probably the most important.
impressive.
Yeah, to me.
All right, more to come tomorrow. Can't wait.
Okay.
All right, Chuck.